All right, let's jump right in. In the world of business, there is one constant, absolute truth. You either evolve or you get left behind. For decades now, leaders have been wrestling with how to actually drive that evolution. So today, we're going to break down two of the most powerful and honestly often confused strategies for change: business process reengineering and digital transformation. Let's get into it.
So let me just ask you this. It's really the most important question you can ask yourself. Is your business built for the past, or is it truly built for the future? Well, the answer often comes down to understanding two very different philosophies: business process reengineering, or BPR, and the more modern digital transformation. Now, they might sound kind of similar, but trust me, their approaches to building a future-proof business are fundamentally different.
So here's what we're going to cover. We'll kick things off with BPR, the original playbook. Then we'll see how that evolved into what we now call digital transformation. After that, we'll put them head-to-head, old school versus new school, to see the key differences. And we'll wrap up with what really truly works today: the customer-centric solution.
Okay, let's rewind the clock a bit, back to the 1990s. This is really where our story begins, with something called business process reengineering. You can think of it as the first major, systematic attempt to completely rethink how companies get work done.
So what exactly is BPR? Well, the key word you need to remember here is radical. BPR wasn't about making small tweaks or little improvements. Nope. It was about fundamentally blowing up and redesigning core processes to get huge gains. See, back then, technology was pretty rigid, not to mention expensive, so the whole goal was to simplify and standardize absolutely everything to fit into these new systems.
And you'll notice something right away. The focus here, it's all internal. BPR was about looking inward, at your own workflows, your own bottlenecks, your operations. The main driver, the big why, was all about making the company itself faster, leaner, and of course, cheaper. The customer was in the picture, sure, but the lens was always focused on operational efficiency.
Now, let's fast forward to today, to the modern era. As technology got way more flexible, way more powerful, this new idea started to take hold: digital transformation. And this isn't just about tweaking a process. This is about reshaping the entire business from the ground up.
Digital transformation, or DT, well, it's a whole different ballgame. It's so much bigger. It's all about weaving technology, things like AI, the cloud, big data, into every single part of the organization. And the goal isn't just to do the old stuff a little bit better, it's to do entirely new things. It's about changing the fundamental way you operate and how you deliver value to your customers.
And right here, you can feel that shift in focus, can't you? It moves from just being about internal efficiency to being all about external impact. Now we're talking about enriching customer engagement, fostering real innovation, and even creating brand new business models that didn't exist before. It's a complete 180 in perspective.
Okay, so we've got the old school way and the new school way. Let's really put them head to head to make the differences crystal clear. This is where you can really see how much things have changed.
This chart pretty much says it all, doesn't it? BPR was all about internal processes. DT is all about the customer experience. BPR's goal was efficiency and cutting costs. DT's goal is innovation and growth. And just look at the scope. BPR was surgical, targeting specific workflows. DT, on the other hand, looks at the entire business model. The whole game shifted from just optimizing a process to responding to what customers actually need, using all this amazing new tech.
And there's a really good reason this shift happened. This quote from Forbes just nails it. It highlights this unintended consequence of the old BPR model. In that mad rush to simplify and cut costs, companies often ended up making things way harder for the customer. That intense focus on internal efficiency came at the expense of customer happiness. And in today's world, that's a fatal flaw.
So, all of this brings us to today. What's the right way to move forward now? What have we learned from both of these big ideas? Well, the answer is pretty clear. It's about putting one thing at the absolute center of every single decision you make.
And listen, the stakes today, they are incredibly high. Just look at this number. 2/3, that's 66% of B2B buyers will just walk away if your digital experience is clunky or frustrating. You just can't afford to get this wrong anymore. Customer loyalty is literally won or lost on a screen. A smooth, easy customer journey isn't just a nice to have, it is essential for survival.
But hold on, there's a trap on the other side too. With today's super flexible technology, it's so tempting to just take your old, maybe broken processes and just stick them online as is. But that's just as bad. You're not innovating, you're not making anything better for the customer. You're just moving a flawed system to the cloud. And that, my friends, is a recipe for failure.
So what's the actual goal here? What should we be aiming for? Well, according to McKinsey, it's all about creating a win-win. You use technology to constantly improve the customer experience and lower your own costs at the same time. It's not an either-or thing. Real transformation does both, and that's how you build a massive competitive advantage.
So the smartest path forward is this idea of selective re-engineering. It's a smart middle ground. It's really about 3 simple but powerful steps. First, every single thing you do has to start and end with the client. Second, you have to challenge all your old rules. Just because you've always done it that way doesn't mean it still makes any sense. And third, you have to see technology as a chance to create entirely new value, not just to put a digital wrapper on the old way of doing things.
Look, if there's one thing you take away from all this, let it be this. Building a great digital customer experience is the real game now. It is a completely different mindset than just tweaking internal workflows. Everything you build, every process you design has to be seen through the eyes of your customer. That's the key.
And that brings me to a final question I want to leave you with. The challenge today isn't just to go online. The real challenge, and honestly the real opportunity, is to completely rethink what's even possible. So how will you use technology, not just to copy what you're doing now, but to create something entirely new and incredibly valuable for the people you serve?